R&B diva, Kelly Price. That's right. Kelly Price, she's up next. I've talked about her before. That first album, Soul of a Woman, and this album, Mirror Mirror, I finally got in my second commentary. And Price, excuse me, Kelly Price, she's up next. And let's talk. She got all in my business with this album. Oh my gosh, we need to talk. Let's talk. What's up, everybody out there? How you doing? Thank you guys again for clicking over here, clicking that thumbnail over here at Pepe's Point of View. I am your host, your R&B historian, Pepe, and oh gosh, do I have a treat for you? That's right. We're talking about R&B diva Kelly Price over here. Oh gosh, the second time around talking about R&B diva Kelly Price. I talked about her Soul of a Woman album. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And if I can recall, I made mention that I thought that Kelly Price was definitely a bad boy artist. Listening to her music and everything, and of course, she worked with a lot of bad boy artists, musicians, producers, or whatever with that first album. The only thing that disappointed me about the Soul of a Woman album, and you probably already know where I'm going with this, because of course she was signed to T-Neck Records, which would be the Isley Brothers, Ronald Isley's, the Isley Brothers label, T-Neck Records, that was distributed at the time by, who was they distributed? Island Black Music. That's right. The only disappointment with the Soul of a Woman's album for me is that it did not have Angela Winbush anywhere on that album, being that she was definitely over there in their camp, signed to the T-Neck label. And so I was definitely disappointed when that album showed up on the T-Neck label and Angela Winbush was nowhere to be found. I don't even think she wrote anything. She's not there from a vocal standpoint, nothing at all. So that's the only thing that was disappointing. But I was definitely taken aback, pleasantly surprised that I fell in love so much with that first album. And I'm here to tell you, I finally got around to listening to the entire Mirror Mirror album. And y'all, Kelly Price, baby, get Kelly Price on the phone. Get Kelly Price on the phone. I'm here to tell you, she got all in my business. She's going to make me spill my tea over here. She's going to make me talk, baby. I'm here to tell you, like, those last songs on that album, baby. OMG, the last songs on that album, and I'm here to tell you, I mean, it had me going. It had me wanting to post some things online. I did. I made a post on my uh, on my page, the one with the blue app. I made a post when I got to the single Mirror Mirror, the song Mirror Mirror. I was like, oh my gosh, she's all in my business. And from that song, from as a matter of fact, from tracks 6 all the way down to 12, I'm here to tell you that lady had me going. Oh gosh, let me just keep myself together, okay, real quick. So what do I do over here? If you're a new viewer, allow me to explain, but I want to welcome you, new viewers, you returning viewers, and you subscribers. And again, I have to say, if you are a returning viewer and you have not hit the subscribe button, go ahead on and just, hey, you're hanging out with me. Why don't you go ahead on and make it official? That's right. Oh, see, I like the way we go over here. I like when it just comes at the top of my head. Make it official. That's right. Make it official, because we're talking about love and relationships with this Mirror Mirror album, and all of the all my business that Kelly Price got in. Oh my gosh. So yeah, let's make it official. Let's become a couple. Right, let's get into this thing together. You subscribers, you the people who will leave a comment, likes, and all that stuff. Let's participate. That's how the channel can grow. I can't grow it without you guys. Not this channel. It's really designed for everyone to participate. So hey, let's chit chat. Let's talk. Oh, all right. Let me get my thoughts together. Y'all know how I do. I got to get my thoughts together. Every now and then, I will dish out the dirt on who dropped kicked who in these entertainment streets. You already know that that's something that I will do. And so, let me dish out the dirt a little bit. It's related to the albums, right? And the music reviews. That's what I do. I go back and listen to my favorite R&B divas albums. I cover, do the commentary on the music, so on and so forth. And sometimes, if I got to dish out the dirt about an album, you know that I will. But this here is not something that I have not covered before. And that is, of course, if you followed Kelly Price's career, you do know that her first album, and I must say alleged because you guys making me tired. So let me just say alleged, ended in lawsuits. It did. It is what it is. It's in her first album, ended in lawsuits. I said it before. I'm going to say it again. That album did not get all the attention that it could have gotten. But, from a legal financial standpoint, Kelly Price, I guess, was like, I'm not having it. Some things are going on that I just really don't like. I don't know if it was her or her manager or her husbander, filed, some lawsuits, against, I guess, T-Neck Records, Run Isley or whatever. And then we found ourselves, or Kelly Price finds herself, away from that label. All right, it is what it is. I'm not quite sure what happened with that. But anyway, why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up is because it looks as if with the second album, Mirror Mirror, she did not lose no momentum at all. I mean, it was almost like when she came in writing and producing this record, it was almost like, hey, I ain't even got time to be focusing on, what happened with that lawsuit, so on and so forth. I got to put out product, so on and so forth. She definitely looks like she was definitely focused, with this album. Um, Now, I have to say something when it comes to the first album and the second album, and respectfully so. I think hopefully an R&B diva like Kelly Price would definitely understand what I mean. What I mean when I say I just felt like all of the attention was always focused on her weight, and I even think that for whatever reason, Kelly Price focused on her weight a lot in her music. And it was almost to the point where a person such as myself could not get into the fullness of Kelly Price, and I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't get into the fullness of Kelly Price musically because the music was definitely there. I just didn't listen to it. I was like, okay, I heard Friend of Mine's, that's my cut. I'm always going to listen to Friend of Mine's. Secret Love came out. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like that a little bit, so on and so forth. Then she came out with As We Lay. And when she came out with As We Lay, I didn't like the song because it was a different production style. Okay, they kind of watered it down a little bit, and so I was like, I'm not feeling it, but it was still yet a good song, and it's definitely, a diva like Shirley Murdoch, who I've covered over here. She definitely got, some notoriety and got back into the limelight with Kelly Price recovering her song and making it such a great, doing so well with the song, even from a production standpoint, right? I think she what did the numbers do? I'm not quite sure what the record did for her, but anyway, it still was, uh, a million seller platinum album for her. So As We Lay definitely got some attention. And the next song came out, You Should Have Told Me. Still a turn off, definitely a turn off, because again the focus was still on her weight, And as I said before, I think the attention, she put a lot of attention on her weight as well. But she turned her pain into power, by, talking about it, saying how the industry, and people in the industry view her, saw her, someone such as a Ron Isley decided to, as most people say, let's say, take a chance on her, not necessarily focus on the weight, knew that she was a talented lady. However, we can tell from the album cover with a friend of mine, you didn't see her picture. And obviously, there was a reason why people wanted them to get to know Kelly Price and not see her visually, so on and so forth. It just is what it is. Okay. All of it was wonderful, great marketing behind her. That's why I say when I was talking about Kathy Sledge's album Heart, it's all about a promotional standpoint. I just feel like people didn't promote her. The execs over there at Epic Records did not promote her record, but you see someone such as a Ron Isley obviously promoting um, Kelly Price's record, and obviously it looks like Island Black Music at the time was definitely putting a lot of attention into their artists that they had over there. And so that's what we have here. So I wasn't so much into Kelly Price when I saw it because every time I turned around, it was focused about her weight. Everything was weight, 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 weight. Whoo, child. Okay. But now here's where we are with this Kelly Price story for me. It's like, wow, this album is so good. This Mirror Mirror album, it's like it's. I'm not gonna say it's better than Soul of a Woman. I'm not gonna say it's worse than Soul of a Woman. But what I will say is that she's definitely focused. Like she did not slouch on this at all, and that's what I love about this album so much. And she's definitely is going to be one of the R&B divas. I have to say it right now is that I'm coming to like her more and more from a writing and a production standpoint. I mean, she's definitely top tier in that area, and I can definitely say that when it comes to uh, R&B divas. I would say of the 1990s, but I think it's safe to say of the 2000s. She's definitely one of those R&B divas of the 2000s where I can easily say, you know what, she has definitely influenced a lot of people in the industry. Even though she came along after someone like a Faith Evans, who definitely is another favorite of mine. I think I need to cover Faith Evans. I need to write her down and cover Faith Evans. Hold on for me. Let me write Faith's name down because she has not come up on my radar at all. I don't know why. So anyway, so Faith Evans is another one of those R&B divas that I have grown to like and enjoy as well. But here's the thing about Kelly Price when I was talking about her weight and her music. Her music, the singles that she released was enough to keep my attention, right? Her image was enough, honestly, for me for to keep my attention. So my attention was always on Kelly Price, no matter what. Like I was like, okay, I can take this journey with her, and I think that that's one of the good things about an artist that most people uh, don't think about is that it is definitely a journey. You want to grow with your your singer, your actors, your actresses. You want to grow with them. You want to kind of experience the changes with them, and go along for that ride. But you got to find something about them that's interesting. And I really don't think that it was a gimmick. Most R&B divas out there who, and I keep that to myself. Who I would say who it is, but there's some R&B divas out there who I know that it's all a gimmick. That's all this is. But in the case of someone such as a Kelly Price, I know that this is not a gimmick, right? That she's definitely, an R&B diva. She knows what she's doing, and when she is allowed to do it, and when it's a promoted, that you're going to get quality product, from her. Whew, so I'm going and I'm flowing. Where am I going with this? And so now going back to these two albums again, everything was always focused on the weight. And I know I'm going back to the weight, and I know that I'm going somewhere with the weight, But I give you another example, and you guys, probably will agree with me when I say this. You probably never thought about it this way. It's the same things with Angie Stone. Have I covered Angie Stone? Let me write Angie Stone's name now. As these names pop up, I'm going to talk about them. But it's the same thing with Angie Stone. Every time, Angie Stone came out with an album, it was always centered around what's that guy's name? How does it feel? D'Angelo. It was always something about D'Angelo and how she was so hurt about how, she was done, as far as D'Angelo is concerned. Like she was just so hurt by, so hurt. And every time she released an album, I couldn't get into Angie Stone because she was always talking about the D'Angelo type of situation. And she's probably still talking about it to this day. But I couldn't get into her. But when she came out, she would release some good singles that were enough to keep my attention going. But it turned me off from buying the albums or buying the songs. So I don't have an Angie Stone album. And that's the reason why I don't have an Angie Stone album. Honestly, I have to say that's the reason why I don't have a Kelly Price album other than the single. I didn't. It's simply because it was always focused on the weight. And I think sometimes people don't think about, when they're going through that healing process, whatever that is that, yes, talk about it, heal from it, make your coins off of it too. But think about also too that there are some people who, sometimes they just want to hear the music after you say, yeah, there's an issue, about my weight, so on and so forth. Yeah, I talk about it a little bit about the things that has happened, but I want to focus on the music or other things about me that other people are probably interested in wanting to know. And for a person such as myself, it's all about, hey, what do you have going on as far as working with other artists? What do you got going on? Like who influenced you? Like, let's get into some of those type of things. You see what I'm saying? And so when she releases a song such as You Should Have Told Me, and obviously talking about, her weight, so on and so forth, I have to honestly say, looking back at that video now, in watching the video, I'm saying to myself, like, Kelly Price was definitely on her ish. Definitely there. She was on it. I'm looking, I'm like, man, how did I miss all of this? Well, I missed it because everybody was focusing on the weight. So even when she did get to a point in her life where, the weight should have no longer been an issue, everybody is still talking about it because it became such a big part of her career. Oh, thank you. I'm liking when I'm getting this flow on, like I said, because sometimes I'm just talking, having, a dialogue with you guys, because it's definitely not a monologue to me. It's a dialogue. But I'm thinking about another diva, Tina Turner, who at the end of the day, even though she has this big, huge career, but it's still overshadowed by who? Her relationship with Ike Turner. It can definitely be a turn off, to some people, even though it gets people to want to talk to you, it gets people to want to, interact with you, sell records, gets you into other areas that you want to branch off into. But then again, it can also be something that can hinder you. So sometimes you got to learn how to maneuver and play around that, if you will. Whoo, child, having said all of that, I know that I want to talk about the album, but I just know that for me, it was, it I feel like it's right on time because her music is still relevant, you know. But again, she could have got another album, another unit out of me, you know, had it not been, always focused on the weight. So, what do we know about the album Mirror Mirror? What do we know about the album? Well, of course, it's her second album. It was released on the Def Soul label, and it debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200, and it spent 14 weeks on the album charts. Um, it was Kelly Price's first top 10 entry on the chart, and it sold, wow, good. 157,000 copies in its first week. And of course, the album was certified platinum. Now, she worked with Warren Campbell. Now I do know. Oh, did I say I never owned a Kelly Price album? Take that back. I told a fib. I do own a Kelly Price album. When I see the name Warren Campbell, it made me think about the fact that I did purchase the album that has a song on it called "It's My Time." Oh, I love that. So I know I'm going to get around to talking about that album. But Warren Campbell produced some of the songs on there. So you have Warren Campbell, you have James Moss and Paul Allen. I'm definitely familiar with those two guys. They did some things on Dawn Robinson's album, Dawn Robinson of In Vogue. I remember I have a Patti LaBelle album too. What is it? Timeless Journey. They did some things on that album as well. And I think James Moss and Paul Allen definitely has contributed a lot to the gospel industry as well. So it looks like this those are pretty much some of the primary people on the album. Uh, Producing wise, you got a track in there with R. Kelly had produced a track on there, but for the most part, Campbell and another guy by the name of um, it says Teddy Riley, but I don't see anything with Teddy Riley's name on it. But don't hold me against that. I'm just kind of like scanning through this, just doing a top scan, so I'm not quite sure. But anyway, great album, a lot of producers on this album. But being that there was a lot of producers on this album, the album is still even. And I think it's even because of the songwriting, definitely in the production. So the executive producer, Kelly Price, Kevin Lyles, and her husband, and they definitely focused on keeping this album even. Chucky Thompson is a producer on this album. I can't really tell right now. Like I said, it's got a lot of going on over here on my end as far as what I'm kind of looking at. But but the album is definitely even, and it has a pop feel to it, and it has an R&B feel as well. I don't think neither one is overpowering the other. I think that everything is pretty much even. Oh, child, let me slow this thing down. But now here's the thing. Remember what I told you guys? I said Kelly Price has definitely got into my business and want me to talk um, about some things as well. And I probably hit on those things towards the end because it would be those songs at the end from tracks 6 through 12 when she started getting in my business. I had to go, ouch, Kelly Price. Like, girl, you in my business. Get out my business. Get out my business. Stay out of my business, Kelly Price. But hey, it is what it is. Oh, child. So, listening to this album, uh, is the first song on the album. I loved it. I liked the interlude. I really did. The interlude was pretty much nice. I like the Mirror Mirror interlude. And here's the thing when it comes to interlude. I've said this before. Uh, Sometimes when we have these interludes, it makes me want more of the song. And in this case, I'm saying to myself, like, okay, I need more of this song. Uh, it gave me kind of like this workout gym type vibe where I want to go and work out, and it's almost like she's poking fun of her weight again in this song, this interlude. She's poking fun of her weight, and she says, of course, she's a boss too, and I like that memory lane is a good touch. Going back down memory lane is definitely a good touch for this interlude. So I definitely like it. But as I said again, she's she's poking fun of her weight and things like that. And it almost makes you want to go, but you get it, understand it, and you kind of move on. Then you get to a song like Good Love. With Good Love, once again, I'm thinking about Faith Evans. It's interesting, and I just want to say this as I talk about my R&B divas over here, and I'm pretty sure once I start to talk about my soul man more, I'll probably get a good feel of that as well. But when I'm listening to this music, and I'm thinking about the divas as a whole. And some of these divas are, always saying, "Oh, I'm me. I'm not like that diva, and I'm not like that diva." As far as singing, and I'm not that style. But then when I'm listening to them, I'm almost saying, "But I get such a feel of another diva when I'm listening to these divas' music." You see what I'm saying? So you definitely have to say that these artists, these divas, these soul men are definitely influenced by each other if they never say it. It's one thing, but you definitely see the influence. And with a song such as Good Love, I'm thinking of Faith Evans, but it's okay. It's an up-tempo song, and I still say Kelly Price is a bad boy type of artist. She's definitely a bad boy artist, okay? Then you get to the song You Should Have Told Me. Sounds familiar. Sounds like Friend of Mine, but it works, right? Definitely does. And I think I like this Kelly Price better, but it's because the beginning she was trying to prove something, and now I don't think she's trying to prove anything anymore. I think that that's where it is. I don't think she's trying to prove it any longer. Okay, that she can do what she can do and who she is and what she's all about. Then you got to a song called At Least the Little Things. And then the next song, She Wants You. Oh my gosh. She Wants You streams. It's Friend of Mine. That's definitely streams Friend of Mine all over again. The message is pretty much clear. It's crystal clear, right? What this song is about in the message. But baby, we get to track 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I'm like, Kelly, can you get out my business? But I so needed this. Now this is when I'm going to talk about me. Talk about me. I usually don't talk about myself a lot, like with people in general, and not even now. I just don't. I do the commentary and I keep moving on. But I'm bringing this up simply because I think that it also lets people know, like, hey, I've been through that too. And even though it's a song, but she's definitely hitting home with this. Like this song is all about relationships. I don't know if I need to chop this up and do a complete commentary on just each one of these songs because I like them so much. I don't know if I need to do that. I'm not quite sure. But I just do know that these last songs on this album definitely hits. And Three Strikes, I am playing that song in the office all day tomorrow. When I go into the office, Three Strikes will be played. That's my ish. I'm playing it all day long. It is what it is. I love the song. I love the message in the song. About what she's talking about as far as the three strikes are concerned, in relationships. I definitely like it a lot. But let's jump right into Mirror Mirror because Mirror Mirror is the one that got me. It got me. I'm like Kelly, you got me. Okay, without trying to infringe on any kind of copyrights, I guess you could say, because you never know what goes on in these streets. You know what I'm saying? But what I like about the song, it says, been looking for love and never could find it. While I'm standing here and he is so blinded by her silly ways. He just can't imagine she's playing a game that he played for a game that he played for so long. It's interesting. When you get into when you find yourself in the game of love, right? Because love is definitely a game, right? It's just what it is. It's game. It's game. I've gotten to the point in my life when it comes to relationships, right? And wanting to be in relationships, so on and so forth. I'm finding myself now understanding that, okay, let me say it this way. I'm telling my business. Kelly Price got me in my business, so I'm going to tell my business. Whew. I found myself on the sidelines, and I placed myself there on purpose. No need to get into the reason why I put myself on the sideline, but I did. And I was an observer, right? I just looked. I'm like, oh, okay. That's me. I saw all of this stuff going on, and it was happening right in front of me, right? And I guess you could say I kind of came. I had like a judgmental attitude about it because I'm seeing people play the game of love. And I'm looking, I'm like, okay. What? Did you just see that? It's stuff like that. So I'm judging. Definitely. It's just what it is. I'm on the sideline, I'm looking and I'm judging. And it's kind of like you're saying to yourself, oh, I never do that. Ooh, how can she put up with that? And he need to quit. Why is he doing this? Like he need to quit, right? So finally, I decided, you know what? I'm looking at it, and there's some aspects about this that I do like. There's some things I'm seeing that I do like, and so what I decided to do. This is a long time ago. Uh, put myself out there, right? That's what you do. You put yourself out there, and there I am. I'm putting myself out there, and hmm, I realized that I'm playing by a different set of rules. I'm playing by a different set of rules because I'm going in as the stand up guy, the stand up person, right? I'm going in with the mind frame of that, hey, you got to put yourself out there, you know what I'm saying? And you're going to meet someone who's going to find you, interesting, going to want to be with you, so on and so forth, and everything is going to be everything, right? You might have to kiss a few frogs or whatever. What is it? Frogs? What else do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know. But for the most part, it's what it is. But then I find myself in situations where it's kind of like, you're being played. You're being played. I'm talking about played on so many different levels. I'm not just talking about being played because someone, uh, you know the person you're interested in is seeing someone else, right? She's seeing someone else. He's seeing someone else. You know this, right? But for me, I never, I've never gone into that relationship thinking that, well, you could be seeing someone else. I don't. I've always gone. Yeah, I know you're probably laughing at me because I'm laughing at you. Like, what? Yeah, I've never gone into a relationship thinking that, hey, you could be seeing someone else. Like, I'm not saying I'm that naive. I'm not thinking I'm that naive. But here's what I am thinking. I'm thinking that I got it going on, this, that, and the other. Like once I am in your presence, you should not want another. See, I definitely have the mind frame that I do have it going on. Like I am all that, a bag of chips and dip on the side, Coke with peanuts, like all that stuff. Like I definitely come in with that mind frame that, hey, I'm in. So you should be feeling me, right? That's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking that you're seeing someone else. As a matter of fact, it's not even coming up, and I'm thinking about that you're with someone else. I'm telling my business. Like I said, Kelly Price, in these last 5 songs on her album, got in my business. But you're also at the same time, you're saying to yourself, you're like, when you realize that there's a possibility and you see that you're not the only one, and you're probably being juggled. You probably, what does they call it? What do they call it? Oh, not the juggle side piece, but there's a third party. Like what? Third party, fourth party, fifth party. You know what I'm saying? Relationship, this, that, and the other. You're putting yourself out there, and then when you finally, for a person like me, when I finally see that you're not interested, well, not I ain't gonna say interested, when you're not involved, when I'm not the only one that you are thinking about or entertaining, it goes into, that's when I exit. That's me. I just make an exit. I might stick around for one or two or three more episodes, whatever those episodes are. Events like conversations, this, then the other, so on and so forth. But when I see that you're not interested on that level and you entertaining other people, I'm like, okay, well, it's what it is. You get your feelings hurt a little bit and then you kind of move on. Do you understand what I'm saying? You move on. That's just me. I move on. And sometimes I move on quietly. Sometimes I move on by expressing how I felt about it, right? I move on how I expressed about it. But I still move on. But here's the thing with me. When you have me, you have me. Okay. When it comes to these relationships, when you have me, you have me. Meaning, as I said before, I'm not thinking about you having someone else because at this moment in time, I'm putting my best forward. And I'm not putting my best forward like trying to put it to show you who I am. And I think that that's the problem. Most people think that it's game, right? That I'm running game too. I'm not running game. I'm literally being myself because I know who I am. Going back to the point where I say, you know what, hey, I'm just a stand-up guy, so on and so forth. Like I'm not pretending. I think most people probably think that, since you're in the game of love and you have to present yourself a certain way, so on and so forth. Maybe some people are probably saying, hey, you're not the real deal. This is not really you. This is not who you really are. Like you playing the game too. Like you can't be real. I never looked at it like that. But I do know that I am 100%. So I'm giving, I'm communicative, right? Or I communicate. I listen. But these are the things that I naturally do. I express my feelings. Uh, and I've been known for some people to say, well, okay, you're kind of aggressive. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Or or what's the other one? Um, or here's another one. So when I finally let my feelings be made known, it was kind of like, oh, but you never said anything. I'm like, well, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And so now when you say you never said anything, that could be a shocker for someone because now it's like, well, you never said anything. So now, there's the shock involved in all of that. And you find yourself now, you know, well, now the person you're interested in it is you done ran them off. Just by the point of showing that you're interested because it's kind of like I I don't know how to take this right now. But anyway, I guess basically what I'm saying is that for me, I never looked at anything outside my bubble. That's where I'm going. I never looked at anything outside of my bubble. Everything was my world. And it was my world not because I think it's because I have just that one track mind. I'm not thinking about anything else because I don't have any ill intent and I'm going somewhere. Follow with me. Hold it. I don't have any ill intent behind mine, right? And I've never approached anyone that I was never interested in. Never. I don't understand how some people can do that. Like I have to really and truly find you physically attractive. You see what I'm saying? I have to be really into you for me to approach you. Like I'm looking like, okay, I'm definitely I'm sizing you up. I'm like, okay, trust me, I thought about it. And for me, the hard part would be expressing my feelings enough to approach you. And now that I've approached you and I've talked to me, I let my guards down because once I get that conversation back, oh, I'm like, okay, I can relax. So I go into my relax mode that now is like, okay, well, you're interested or appears to be interested. We have a conversation, so on and so forth. Everything is wonderful. Everything is good on my end. Like I am now becoming at ease. And so it might look like I'm no longer interested, but I am. It's just that now I can just kind of chill out and continue to be me. But on the outside looking in, being on the sidelines, right? Being on the sideline, you see the game differently. When you're in the midst of it, it's like, whoa, okay, this is getting kind of deep. Like this is getting interesting, right? Because there's a lot of players involved in this. There's a lot of players involved in this. Hmm. Especially when you find yourself among a group of people who have a lot of playmates, right? They have a lot of players involved, right? So you're thinking, you're looking at your options based off what you see people are doing around you, right? Mm, I never thought about that until now. I never thought about that until now. You know, I never thought about how, oh gosh, see, that I said, Kelly, I don't know why you got in my business with this album. But see, I guess I never really thought about, had I have I seen what you would want to call good, stable relationships? Because if all I've seen is people who are definitely playing the game of love, that's all they're doing. They're playing the game of love. Going back to this Kelly Price thing, okay, well, she was a friend of mine. She used what she knew. She lied, she cheated, and took all I had, right? You never really think about it that you're playing by a different set of rules, just being your authentic self. And let's just say for another guy, the other guy, he could be his authentic self, and his authentic self mean that, you know what, he has many. You see where I'm going? He has many people, partners that he's entertaining. That he entertains. I don't want to use the other word, but I'm just saying, if you get the drill. Hmm. So, so I never thought about it up until now. Like, have I seen what I would consider to be a good quality relationship? And I'm going to be honest with you and say that the people that I have been around, the people that I've seen, I'm going to say, no, I guess I haven't. I haven't seen what I would call that wonderful, good, sturdy relationship, even though I've always wanted to have one, even though I knew that I was the sturdy one, the more focused one in the relationship. Like, I just figured you go in and you put yourself out there. You find someone who's interested in you. If that person's interested in you and showing you that they're interested, then for the most part, everything is cool until you realize, wait a minute, you're not giving me what I'm giving you, right? And you keep going back, and then you find out, you know what, you're really and truly being breadcrumbed. You are. And see, for me, I have always thought, I just thought people always wanted good things for themselves. It didn't matter who you were as a person. I just thought that you wanted good things for yourself. You did. That's what I used to. I don't think that anymore. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that anymore. But I'm telling you about how I had to navigate through this relationship thing. I just always thought you wanted things for yourself. And I never thought about what my partner could do for me because I was always an independent person, raised very independently, right? That, and I give you a prime example. And this is just me, just growing up. I remember, um, as a child, I think I was a preteen, And I remember waking up one day, and I don't know why, I just saw all this laundry in my closet. And I was like, these clothes need to be washed. I did. I was like, these clothes need to be washed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need clothes. I need to wash these clothes. And all of a sudden, I went downstairs. I got the laundry, went downstairs, went into the laundry, and I'm looking at the wash machine. I'm looking at the wash machine trying to figure out how to work it. And I went in and I just put the clothes in. Trial and error. Trial and error. I just put the clothes in. I put the detergent in, what I thought. You know what? And then, once my mom saw that, I was washing my clothes, as a preteen, like, 12 and 13 years old, like I took the initiative to do it and stuff. And then, she started to show me, okay, well, hey, if you're going to wash your own clothes, then this is how you do it. And as I said, I've always been independent like that. Once I realized that I did not want to wait on someone to do it, like my mom or someone to do it, I did it. Even with cleaning up my bedroom, I didn't wait on my mom to clean up my bedroom. I did. Once I started doing my laundry, I started cleaning up my room. So I would clean up the room, and I shared a room with my brother. And what I would do was I would clean up my side of the room, and I would throw his clothes and all that stuff on his side. And whenever, his friends and people would come over, they'd be like, wait a minute, man, why is this side of the room clean and the other side not clean? Right? My brother didn't care, about, his side of the room. And then basically what ended up happening was I got tired of seeing his side of the room messed up. So I wasn't washing his clothes, not at all. But what I would do is I just put them, in the dirty clothes, in the dirty, hamper. And then I got to the point where I at least would clean up the room and make up his bed. So I always been independent like that. Even as a child growing up, I got to the point where when I saw something that I needed to do, I just do it myself. And that's kind of like how I have been in relationships too. It's like I just never looked at someone as being like, hey, what can you do for me? And that's what I've noticed about relationships. I've noticed about relationships as I got older, it became like, oh, okay, what can you do for me? And that used to be a turnoff for me for a while because I'm like, what do you mean? What can I do for you? I ain't doing anything for you. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking that you want for yourself. Like I always saw it as a partnership. I saw that we could always, get to a point where we can work together and work things out. But for you to come in and automatically just assume that you're looking at me like, what can you get out of me and what you can get from me? I never played that game because I'm like, nah, not having it. What, you don't want something for yourself? And again, I wouldn't cut you off. I wouldn't cut you off, but it would be a slow fade, right? It would be just an easy, slow fade. Like you look up and it's kind of like, where is it? Baby, I have moved on, child. Like I know I'm telling you all my business. I'm gonna give you 10 more minutes and then I'm done. I'm saying all I'm telling you, it's all my business. I told you Kelly Price got in my business today, girl. I don't know why. So anyway, so that's kind of like how I was, or at the time. And I never thought about it. So now here I am. And I'm saying to myself, because now I'm in a place in my life where I'm like, okay, I understand it now. I get it. One thing that used to be like a kind of a question mark make me go, I would go, complicated. You know how most people say, oh, this relationship is complicated? I'm like, why you want to be in a complicated relationship? Like, what is that? What does that mean, complicated? And so now I'm in a place in my life where I have come full circle, just about. I still got more. I still got to, go a little bit more around, the pie to make it a full pie. But for the most part, when it comes to relationships, I'm like, I understand now. People are in relationships and it's complicated. It's complicated. It's what it is. When you tell me it's complicated, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand and I keep moving. Right? I understand that people are in relationships because you know what? Because it's marriage, right? When it's marriage, and I said for better for worse. So hey, even though my partner is not giving me what I'm supposed to get out of the relationship, I made a commitment, so I'm going to see it through. I understand that, right? I'm aware of that. I'm understanding that there are some people in relationships and it's financial. Hey, I mean, you know what? It's financial. I'm being supported. That's all I can tell you. Like and see, there you go. When I'm talking about being independent, right? It was like, hey, it's financial. I could lose some things being in this particular relationship if I leave it. You know what? He supports me. She supports me. You know what? He's the bread and butter. She's the bread and butter. It's what it is. Or we got a whole lot of stuff locked in and tied up together. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's complicated. Some people in relationship, they're afraid to leave them. You know what I'm saying? But I realized that everyone is not in a relationship because they love each other and it's unconditionally loving. It's not. When I see people, it doesn't matter to me who you are. I'm just saying, hey, I don't know why you're in a relationship. I don't know why you're in that relationship. And sometimes when you see someone who is married and you see him or her being hit on by other people, like being saying some things to him, letting them know that, hey, I'm interested in you. I don't care if you're married or not. Or you see this guy who he's married, but he's flirting with every female that he sees, right? And when you see that guy who's flirting with every female that he sees, for me, I stop and question. I was like, now, if he's flirting with all these women, surely his wife got to know by now. You know what I'm saying? Like that he does. Like, how she? Yeah. hmm And then also, too, you have that relationship where you've shown that you're interested in someone. And I've had this happen to me before, actually, where you're interested in someone in the group. You're interested in someone in the group, right? And for whatever reason, the other people in the group, they're throwing salt on you, right? They're telling, the person you're interested in to not be interested in you. You know that stuff is going on behind your back, but for a person like me, I choose not to pay it any attention. I'm like, I don't have time. I'm not gonna say I compete, right? I'm not gonna say I'm the person who doesn't compete or who doesn't like to compete. I'm saying, why am I competing in this? Like, why? I'm not competing for you. I'm just not gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have to make a choice. This is where you're gonna be. And here's me. And this is what I love. Okay, I'm telling off for myself. I know, but this is what I love in a situation like that. I know so strongly and so sure of who I am. I know this. I know who I am, whose I am, and whom I serve. I know that about me to the point I know you would never ever get what I can give you, right? I'm talking about mind, body, soul, spirit. I'm talking about the whole nine. You never get. I know that I'm attentive. I know that. I know that you cannot get that from someone else. I know that when I was talking about aggressive, I'm talking about. I, I, I made a comment before about Steve Harvey and his relationship that I love so much with Marjorie. It's just what it is. Say what you want to say about Steve Harvey and his relationships. It's what it is. I can separate the two. But what I love the fact about Steve Harvey is that he's always complimenting Marjorie. And that's what I love. I am that kind of person. Like, I am going to compliment you. Most people find that aggressive, right? It's kind of like, huh? Like, I'm going to tell you, God, dog at you. God, what? I mean, I have to tell you how good. Like, why would I want to be with you and not compliment you that way? Like, I feel good about being with you. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're going to get complimented all day long. Like, I can't see it. You see what I'm saying? Like, I just can't see myself being with you and not compliment you at all and tell you how beautiful and wonderful and gorgeous and attractive you are. Like, you're going to get that. And that's what I'm saying. I know you wouldn't get that with anyone else. Like At the end of the day, you I and another thing, even though I'm talking about all of this and I'm talking about from my end, I'm talking about what I give, but there is a part of me that I do hold back. And that part of me that I hold back in, and I think that that's why now I'm putting my behind where my heart desires to be, is the part where I'm like, I don't share everything about me. Meaning, like, you got to really know me to know. And I give you a prime example, like, let's say music, R&B divas, stuff like that. You will know that about me as you get to know me, right? And I like this platform that I'm doing this on, as far as when I say put your behind where your heart desires to be, I really do mean that. And so now, as I'm putting my heart where my putting my behind where my heart desires to be, I guess now I'm showing a part of myself that most people can find like entertaining, curious, like, oh, okay, you do this, you do that, so on and so forth. Like, I just don't show everything. But now I'm at the point now where I'm feeling comfortable doing my thing, because some of the things that I'm doing now, I would have asked people to do in the past. Ooh, see, this is a prime example. Prime example. I would have asked someone like, hey, uh, only I'm bringing this up only because it's one of my favorite R&B divas. I say, hey, I'm seeing that Angela Winbush is going to be doing a show, over here, and I would say, hey, you want to come with me and go to the show? Oh man, I don't like that music. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't want to go. This, that, and the other, so on and so forth. Like, I'll be shut down when it comes to things that I enjoy doing, right? And the thing about it is that you look up and you see the person you asked to do something with you do the same thing with someone else, and you'll go like, "Oh, okay, it is what it is." You see it, but you don't say anything. Like, I just keep moving. And so now with me doing this is a prime example. Like doing this, doing the show over here on YouTube and so on and so forth, doing more of the things that I'm doing. These are the things that I like to do, that I would be like, okay, I want someone to be a part of certain things that I like to do. But most people would say, oh, I'm not interested. I don't find that interesting. But you know that it's really and truly not true. And so now someone would probably say, oh, well, you weren't doing things like that when you was around me, so on and so forth. So now it's kind of like, oh, he's intriguing now. Oh, here's this, that, and the other. And I'm saying to myself, like, no, I was always this. I was always me. You just never wanted to get to know me, or you called it boring, or you said you didn't want to bother with it, and so on and so forth. So I have learned how now to just really and truly navigate my way through all of that, right? And I am definitely enjoying it. Now, so much so to the point that when I think about relationships and being in a relationship, I can see it now. It's kind of like once you really put your behind where your heart desires to be, and you're really doing you and you focus on you authentically, it's kind of like, well, I'm busy. Which then gets back to the point where, when people would tell me in the past, it was like, find you something to do. Like, just get busy. Don't focus on that. You okay, I know you say you're interested in this person, but find yourself being busy. And so that's what I'm doing authentically. I'm busy authentically. Like I'm saying, I just really am not thinking about it. Like, and it's not like I'm not thinking about it that I, I'm purposely like trying to show you that I can be busy too. No, I'm busy. Like, this is what I do. Like, hey, it is what it is. I asked you before, you said no. So why are you trying to show interest in it now? It's a done deal. And then going back to that group thing where people are throwing salt on you, as far as the group thing is concerned. And this, like I said, I get the pride out of knowing you won't find another me. You won't find another me. You know what? I know that you probably saying you're happy, so on and so forth, but I know that what I did, you miss. You might not ever admit it, right? You might not never admit that you miss me, but I know you miss me. You know, your ego and your pride won't let you do it, but I know you miss me. Like what's that boy culture club song? I know you miss me. I know you miss me blind. I'm in an hour with this, and I am still willing to talk. Like I said, Kelly Price got in my business with those last couple of songs. Just talking about focusing on relationships. So that's the reason why I'm talking, about it. Uh, so on and so forth. And it's like I said, it's what it is. So once I got to the point where I just realized, yeah, I'm around a bunch of haters. Um, you know, the haters stick. That the envy is thick. The jealousy is thick. The love hate is thick. They love to hate you and they hate to love you. It's thick, and you see it, and you want to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Like, and the benefit of the doubt in my case would be, hey, I know you're doing it. I'm trying to ignore it. And ignoring it doesn't mean that I'm weak. No, I'm ignoring it because I'm giving you the chance, idiot, to correct your behavior. But instead, since I'm not speaking about it, you're taking it as like, oh, I can continue to do it. No, that's not what I'm saying. Like, you're still doing it. This bothers me. Whatever that is. I'm just saying, like, in general, or what have you. I'll give you a prime example of one thing once before. I remember I was interested in someone and, finally got enough nerve to say, hey, you want to hang out? Woo child. So anyway, long story short story. Long on that, I was turned down. I was told no. And I was like, okay. And this is a person that was also in the group, in a group, not the same group, but in a group. And I was like, okay. I learned a hard lesson. And that hard lesson I learned was sometimes when you ask a person out or you show interest in a person, and the person's, is like, hey, I'm not interested in you like that, so on and so forth. Nothing disrespectful. You just, it's just no, there's nothing happening. But at the same time, you still are communicating with each other. It still look like you have somewhat of, you know, some form of a relationship or association to the point where you can still hang around each other, so on and so forth, right? I wanted to so I wanted to say this. I never got around to saying it. But everything after that, whether if I asked, hey, let's go to, hey, this movie is out. Want to go to the movies? No, never mind. Like anything after that. Because remember, we are still friends, and and I want to say, I hope you don't think that. And after that, most people probably do think that everything after that is kind of like you're asking that person out on a date still, or you're trying to show interest in the person when all you're trying to do is keep the friendship going as well. And it got to the point where, it was pretty much hinted that, that, you know, they were in a relationship. At the time, I was like, oh, I said, that's cool. I said, hey, yeah, come on. All of us can go out. I just want to go out, to the movies. And so, we got around to eventually still hanging out a couple of more times, but I got the feeling, this is just me. And usually I'm never wrong about things like that. And I got the feeling, and the feeling was this, that, everything after that, it was pretty much like you're trying to pursue me. And I'm like, I'm definitely not trying to pursue you at all. I wasn't. But this love game, I think there's a song on it. I think the Mirror Mirror one. Like I said, sometimes you're looking at someone and you see that they're all caught up and tied up in another person. You know, yeah, all caught up and tied up in another person. You see the game that is being ran on the person. This person is not a good person or a good fit, and you're sitting back and you're like, "Don't you see this?" So there was a lot of things in this Kelly Price album at the end of this album that just was like stepping on my toes to the point where what I said, let me allow myself to be vulnerable, if you will, and talk about, some of these things. And, it's the relationship thing that I really, wanted to, talk about, with you guys and just say, hey, if Kelly Price can talk about it in song, somebody done either seen it, somebody done been through it, and, a person such as myself, hey, let me just spill some of my business just a little bit. But overall, in general, I think I'm at this point where I can express how I feel to someone. And now I'm like, okay, I said it. It's what it is. I'm not trying to put forth any more effort into it. If you are interested, you're going to show that you're interested. And I'm just going to keep on going and keep on moving. Like it's some people, I think they say, oh, the 3 day rule, like, don't communicate with anyone after the 3 days. Before the 3 days, it shows that you're desperate. Like all of that stuff that we call the game of love, which is a game that I don't play. But I guess when I'm thinking about it now, even if I'm being my authentic self, I'm still playing the game. Like I have a game, or I have those rules that I play by. I think for me, I like to play it with integrity, right? I really do. I like to have a smidge of integrity, when playing those games, playing the game of love. And I realized too, I realized that, it's more than just putting yourself out there, showing that you're interested in someone. Like there's a lot of layers to this thing. But I also realized too, people have to definitely be interested. Like now, I recognize, the breadcrumbs when I see them, for sure. Recognize the breadcrumbs. I also, am aware that people are in relationships for all kinds of reasons. Um, I'm realizing at this moment in time that I'm being honest with myself, saying I do want to be in a relationship, but I'm not. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not my main focus any longer. And I do realize at the end of the day, at the beginning of it, when you meet someone, the first, from the first meeting, when you are in the midst of, together, and all the way throughout that, you have to take under consideration that your partner, your significant other, your man, your woman, is probably entertaining or could possibly be entertaining someone else. There's always a possibility. And since there's always that possibility that your partner, your spouse, your boo thing, bae, could be entertaining someone else, I think that that's even more of a reason why you need to be as independent as possible. And you also need to really take care of yourself and just be focused, you know, be focused and make sure that you're in sound mind, body, soul, spirit, like all of that stuff. You just got to really and truly make sure that you're sound. And you have to realize that sometimes people can look at you like, well, hey, what can you do for me? You have to look at that. You have to say it like, oh, hey, you got to take under consideration that someone was like, I remember this person was like, you know what? Shoot, we get this money and this, then the other, you know what? I'm going to be a stay at home so and so. And I'm looking like, okay. See, you never really know that. And for me, I don't know. I don't know if I want you to be stay at home. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm going to end it with this. I'm going to end it on this note too. Also, too, about sharing your space with someone. Because I have not always been in the best of places in my life. I'm talking about when it came to people. I'm very mindful about my space as far as my peace, as far as my peace. Because when you grow up and you are one of several people in the household, okay? That is a lot of personalities. There's a lot of feelings. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of actions in that. People bring their own experiences in. I'm talking about really, that's how I look at people now. You bring in your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own beliefs, all that stuff, your own experiences, with you. All of that stuff comes with you. And so now what I'm saying to myself is that I love my peace. And I don't know. I don't know if I could take you coming into my home or take you coming home and you know what, you putting me in a bad mood. You know what I'm saying? Or you treating me bad or you're not communicating with me. Like I don't know. I can't take that. I just can't. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been in places where people have been silent with me. People have not treated me well, so on and so forth. And my home is my safe haven. It really is. And what I mean by that, I like to be able to come home and just be and chill and be relaxed and so on and so forth. And when you start giving me silent treatment and stuff like that, and you coming into my home and all of a sudden my home don't feel safe anymore, I can't have you. You can't. I look at you like, why are you here? Like seriously, like why are you here? I understand you have bad days, so on and so forth. But me, I should not be the recipient of that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if anything, if you're having bad days or whatever the case may be, home should be a safe haven where you should be able to come home and be able to have peace in your own home. I'm talking about we as, partners. You should be able to do that. Like, and if you come in, you think you're gonna treat me bad. Oh, baby, you got some. You, 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 not having it. Well, I am 15 minutes, almost 15 minutes. Past the time, and I've received a phone call that I definitely want to go and call this person back. So I think this is a good place for me to stop. Kelly Price was definitely on the money with this album, with these last couple of songs from track 6 through 12. Definitely a must listen to album. She definitely got me in my feelings. I'm going to play this album in the office tomorrow. Maybe you'll get a little bit more out of me. But Kelly Price, you did it, baby. You did it. You did it to me. It was you, Kelly Price. Definitely. And I think I'm just in a place in my life where I can just kind of, talk about these things, so on and so forth. And my hats off to, the people who wrote those songs on the album, which would be Kelly Price, Warren Campbell, and so on and so forth. Like you guys definitely did your thing, writing those last 6 songs on the album. Definitely hit home with me. It really did. Well, on that note, if you hung out with me, I know if you hung out with me and listened to this is worthy, of some subscribers, I'm sure. So anyway, if you made it this far, I think it's only appropriate for me to ask you guys to hit the subscribe button, the like button, the share button, leave comments, all of that stuff. It's only appropriate. And also, too, whenever I leave my mother's presence, uh, she always says, baby, remember I love you, but God loves you best. Also, my motto over here is simple. Put your behind where your heart desires to be. I look forward to seeing you next video. And until then, you know what to do. Take care of yourselves. I know I will.